I had always been pretty sure that my house was haunted by at least one spirit. You see, when I was growing up, weird things happened all the time. But this past year, I moved back in with my parents to save money, and the strange activity began once more. I figured I would chalk it up to the stress from school. But then something started hiding under my bed. I could never account for them, but it did make me think that maybe there was some kind of lingering spirit or poltergeist haunting my home. It wasn't until I moved out and went to college that these strange incidents stopped happening. For months, I didn't know what to do. I was in the middle of my junior year and barely keeping my grades up. The closet wasn't big enough for someone to hide in, but it was definitely big enough for something to crawl out from. From behind the hangers, a small, dirty duffel bag fell to the ground. They were louder than before, and it was clear that whatever was making them was getting agitated. I knew I had to face my fear at some point, so I finally decided to do something about it. I picked it up and brought it to the light. It looked ancient, almost as if it had been sitting in the attic for years. I wanted to get some visual evidence of whatever was going on, so that my parents would believe me. But I ended up getting so much more than I bargained for. Around 3 a.m., I was woken up by scratching coming from under my bed. I turned on my bedside lamp and saw that my sheets were moving around. Then I saw something slither out from under my bed and coil itself up on my mattress. I remember thinking how odd it was because I was certain that I had never seen this bag before. Whatever it was, it had scales like a reptile, but they were iridescent, shifting colors like an oil slick. The monster recoiled and slithered back under my bed. We didn't see it again that night. Apparently, they've had a lot of interesting experiences since they moved the closet. Who knows? Maybe whatever was in that room is still haunting the house to this day. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing. I greatly appreciate your support. Take care. But in the morning, we found some shed skin on my mattress. Then it lifted its head up. I swear it had eyes like burning coals. It hissed at us and lashed out with its tongue. She helped me pack up my things and we moved into her apartment. Before we left, I took one last look at my room. I wish I was making this up, but unfortunately, I'm not. That's why I didn't go back to live in my parents' house. The story does have a happy ending, though. About a year ago, I married my girlfriend. Now we have 2 beautiful kids, and we're expecting our 3rd. It felt wrong to abandon my home like that, even though I was scared of what might still be lurking in it. She told me that I should bring her over to perform an exorcism, and while I didn't agree with her assessment, I also couldn't come up with any other explanation. So I asked her to stay with me for a few nights so that we could catch whatever was haunting me on camera again. I told her and Dad about the incident, and they finally believed me. Still, I've never been so grateful for an exorcism. Maybe it was all in my head, but it sure felt real. I can't explain what I saw. All I know is that I never want to go back there again. They agreed to hire a priest to come and bless the house. Then my dad said, "If it's whatever you say it is, why doesn't it show itself?" I tried to take another look, but the file had been deleted. I thought I was losing my mind. There was an old pair of shoes that looked like they had been through hell and back. I nearly dropped the bag in shock. The memory came back to me. I remembered finding the shoes outside. I had never brought them inside. I don't know what made me do it, but I took the bag and shoved it under my bed. I didn't want to go anywhere again. He suggested that I try talking to it. I don't know why I agreed, but I did. I told whatever was making those noises to leave me alone. To my surprise, the noise stopped. I was left sitting in the dark in my room with only my bed creaking around me. At first, I didn't see anything. Then I saw a dark figure standing at the end of my bed. It was hunched over and I couldn't tell exactly what it was, but then it lifted its head up and I screamed. As I was laying in bed trying to sleep, I kept hearing footsteps near my bed. They sounded like someone walking across the wooden floorboards in my room. But whenever I turned on the light, nothing was there. The last thing I needed was some sort of ghost haunting me while I'm trying to study. After all, there was no way that something was actually walking around in my room. But then I heard the footsteps again. That's when I started screaming. I told my parents about it, but they just laughed and said that I was making things up. So I decided I was going to handle this on my own. The first night I stayed in my room alone after telling my parents about it, something started to happen. I started to get freaked out, so I got out of bed and turned the light off again, trying to convince myself that I was being silly. I called my mom and dad into my room, but they couldn't hear anything. After that day, it seemed as though whatever was haunting me was gone. But then a few weeks later, the footsteps started again. This time they were louder than before. One night they woke me up from a dead sleep. I turned my light on and saw that my closet door was open. That hadn't been unusual because I always kept it open, but now it was closed. I went over to my closet and started taking out clothes. But the scariest part was what was inside of it. I decided to move in with my girlfriend, which was lucky because the very next night, the noises started again. I bought a camera and set it up in my room pointed towards my bed. In the morning, I woke up and ran to my computer to look at the footage. On camera, the thing clearly showed its face. It was horrible beyond description, like nothing I have ever seen before. When I told my girlfriend about it, she said I probably had somehow recorded a demon or some kind of evil entity. As it turned out, we only needed one night. It looked like a giant snake, but it was too thick to be one. My girlfriend immediately started screaming, grabbed the cross that she always wore around her neck, and made the sign of the cross over my bed. That's when my girlfriend told me that we had to get out of there. We returned the next weekend to pick up the rest of my stuff. And while we were there, my mom brought up the monster in my closet. I was happy to be rid of that place, but it meant that I wouldn't get to find out what that monster was. Now my parents have put my old room in their guest bedroom. Writer's note: this story is based on a true experience. Thank you for watching.